In the deepest, most unexplored corners of the world, there are stories etched into stone, whispers carried on the wind, and secrets buried beneath layers of time. We think we know our history, pieced together from fragments and ruins. But what if a civilization existed that was never meant to be found? A place so profoundly hidden that its discovery would unravel everything we thought we knew about our past? This is the story of Ethelgerd, the city that time itself tried to forget. Our story begins not with a grand expedition, but with a lone geologist, Dr. Alastair Finch. He wasn't searching for lost cities. He was studying seismic activity in a remote, unnamed mountain range, a place cartographers had long dismissed as impassable rock. For weeks, his instruments registered strange, rhythmic pulses from deep within the earth. They weren't natural tremors. They were too regular, too intentional. It was like a faint, ancient heartbeat. Driven by a curiosity that bordered on obsession, Finch ventured deeper into the mountains than anyone had before. He navigated treacherous ravines and scaled sheer cliffs, guided only by the strengthening signal from his gear. One day, after a perilous climb, he found himself before a rock face that seemed wrong. The erosion patterns were unnatural, and a faint, almost imperceptible seam ran down its center. Pushing against it, he felt a slight give. With a groan of stone grinding against stone after millennia of silence, a hidden entrance was revealed. The air that rushed out was stale, cold, and carried a scent he couldn't place, something like ozone, petrified wood, and a faint, metallic tang. Stepping inside, his flashlight beam cut through the darkness, and he froze. He wasn't in a cave, he was standing in a street. Towering, seamless structures made of a polished, obsidian-like material rose on either side, disappearing into the cavernous darkness above. There were no windows, no doors, just smooth, imposing facades that seemed to absorb the light. The city of Ethelgerd was silent, preserved in the heart of the mountain. Finch spent days exploring, his initial awe slowly giving way to a creeping unease. The city was pristine. There were no signs of decay, no dust, no rubble. It was as if its inhabitants had simply vanished a moment ago. But there were no personal belongings, no tools, no art. The city was stark, functional, and eerily sterile. The only markings he could find were intricate geometric patterns carved into the plazas. They weren't decorative, they felt like diagrams, like schematics for something far beyond his comprehension. The true mystery, however, lay at the city center. There, in a vast, circular chamber, stood a single, colossal spire. It pulsed with a soft, internal luminescence, the source of the rhythmic energy Finch had detected. The air around it hummed, making the hairs on his arms stand on end. The walls of this chamber were different. They were covered, from floor to ceiling, in what looked like historical records. But these were no ordinary carvings of kings and conquests. As Finch began to decipher the strange, elegant script, a terrifying realization dawned on him. The records didn't depict the history of Ethelgerd. They depicted the history of the entire world. He saw the rise and fall of the Egyptians, the Romans, the Mayans. He saw events from our recorded history rendered with impossible detail. But then he saw more. He saw events that hadn't happened yet. He saw timelines branching off, alternate realities, futures that were tried, tested, and discarded. The carvings showed the people of Ethelgerd not as participants in history, but as its architects. Its custodians, they were observers who lived outside of time, within the heart of this mountain. Their city wasn't a home, it was a control room. The geometric patterns in the plazas were equations, calculations for manipulating the very fabric of causality. They weren't just recording history, they were pruning it, editing it, ensuring it followed a specific, predetermined path. They were gardeners of time. This is where the story turns unsettling. The final panels in the chamber were different. They were chaotic, fractured. They depicted a threat, something that wasn't part of their grand design. An anomaly they couldn't control. The script spoke of a cacophony, a dissonant variable that threatened to unravel all their work. Their solution was drastic and absolute. They couldn't erase the variable, so they decided to erase themselves. The last carving showed the people of Ethelgerd activating the central spire in a final, cataclysmic burst of energy. They weren't just vanishing, they were sealing their city off from every possible timeline, folding the space around it to make it undiscoverable. They were pulling their city out of reality itself, hoping to take the dissonant variable with them. They intentionally became a myth, a forgotten whisper, because their existence posed a greater threat than their absence. They built a city that was never meant to be found because they were running from something. Dr. Finch, standing alone in that silent chamber, finally understood. His discovery wasn't a triumph, it was a transgression. He had stumbled into a place that had sacrificed everything to remain hidden. The rhythmic pulse of the spire wasn't a heartbeat, it was a warning. A self-quarantine protocol that had, after eons, finally failed. As he backed away, the humming grew louder. The light from the spire intensified, and the very air began to shimmer. Finch fled, scrambling back through the silent streets, the grinding sound of the stone door closing behind him echoing like a final judgment. He never spoke of what he saw. To do so would be to invite the world to a place that should not be known, to potentially reawaken the very anomaly that the people of Ethelgerd had sacrificed themselves to contain. The story of Ethelgerd is a chilling reminder that there may be truths so profound and so dangerous that history itself has conspired to keep them secret. It suggests that our past might not be a fixed series of events, but a carefully curated narrative, and that we are living in the one version that was allowed to survive. What was the dissonant variable they feared so much? Was it an external force, a cosmic entity? Or was it, perhaps, us, humanity's own unpredictable nature? Perhaps the greatest secret Ethelgerd holds is that we were the error they couldn't correct. The city remains there, sleeping within the mountain, a silent testament to a history we were never meant to know. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you enjoy exploring the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of our understanding, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep questioning.